It's working. Hey, Lydia, how's it going?
Hi, Sarah. I'm good. How are you doing today?
Good, great. After a 4-week hiatus, it's super good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's been really an interesting month, hasn't it?
No doubt, no doubt. There's just so much activity and just movement. And of course, the headlines aren't helping a whole lot of, getting really, useful information out there. And so that's why we're here to break it down and make it make sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'll let you go first because there's just so much to talk about.
Shoot. Yes. Okay. So thank you very much for that. And I'm going to go ahead and, there's a lot that happened, but it's a lot of good news, a lot of improvement in the forbearance numbers. And so we've had huge progress. If you think about where we were in May of 2020, we had nearly 4.76 million loans in forbearance, which is over 9% of, borrowers. That means, and we've had, millions of people kind of in and out and exiting the process throughout the past, 17 months. So it's, we're talking millions of borrowers that have absolutely benefited. So we're really glad that it's been improving and it's been a really strong program. Our declines in the, levels of participation has been slowing. So in April, we had a 12% drop in borrowers in forbearance. In the past 30 days, we've had a 5% drop. It's all still positive movement. We've had declines for the last 21 weeks. So we're in pretty good shape there.
We're going in the right direction.
We are. And when you think about, so since there's that limit on how long a borrower can be in forbearance, right now they're kind of expecting about 900,000 exits from in the next, or in Q3 and Q4. Oh, and I didn't even say where we are today. Well, where our benefit are huge. I want to make sure I have all my accurate numbers right in front of me, but it's actually under 2 million. I'm going to make sure I have the exact numbers.
That's across the country, right, Sarah?
This is, nationally, I just didn't even write it down. So we're down to 3.48%. And I just mentioned 9, so we're down to 3.48, which is actually about 1.74 million borrowers. So that's a huge decline. I'm very, very excited about that. And then we've had over 7 million. I know I mentioned this. The 7 million borrowers have used the forbearance program, and that's about 14% of the country's borrowers. So it's been a really big thing. I get asked a lot, and this is something Lydia and I were just talking about, is I do get asked a lot for, we have all this great national data, but we don't have a lot of state to state data. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now. This is something that is a little older. This is data from March, but I'm super excited to have it to share, and I will post it as well. But this is showing a breakdown of percentages of borrowers in forbearance as of March. Now, keep in mind, we've had huge declines since then. So all of these numbers have gone down, but it kind of gives you an idea of how it's spread out across the country. Louisiana does have the highest forbearance rates at in March, it was 7.9%, but keep in mind, everything has declined. So this is good news for all of us. And then now we actually have something to look at and say, well, here's some information to give us at least a general idea. So that's pretty, it's nice to have something to share anyway. To break it down by stage, about 9.8% of loans in forbearance are in that initial plan. And the entrance to forbearance has closed. It closed June 30th, but the initial stage does either last, depending on loan servicer, 3 or 6 months. So that's kind of why we still have so many in the initial stage. 83.2% are on extension. So that is, of course, the vast majority of the loans or the borrowers that are in forbearance. And then the remaining 7% are re-entries that kind of came back in after they had exited. When we look at those exits, about 44% of borrowers continued making their payments, got caught up before they exited, or paid off the loan with a refinance or a sale. So that number has declined a little bit each week, but that's still a huge number. We're really happy. The biggest number that we need to focus on is the 15.7% of borrowers. They're exiting their plan without a loss mitigation plan in place. These are the people that need to know that they have options. This is the group. And then as we kind of look at, that's everything within the forbearance program and those plans. But if we start to look at delinquencies, remember, anybody who's late and in forbearance is also counted in the delinquency numbers. And so these numbers are a little higher than the forbearance numbers, but it's total delinquencies. So we did actually reach in June the lowest level of delinquencies since the beginning of the pandemic. So that's, again, some positive news. And that's about 4.37% of loans and around 2.32 million borrowers. The bigger challenge group is there's about 1.5 million borrowers that are 90 plus days late. Now, this number has been going down very slowly. It's still very escalated or elevated from the beginning of the pandemic, but that's kind of the number that we're watching of the group that's going to have the most kind of intervention.
Right.
With the really old ones. Now, there's been a lot of different programs that are coming out. We know, so like the foreclosure moratorium, it expires on Saturday. So there's been a lot of movement and conversation that's come from the federal government. CFPB has implemented a significant plan to keep people, to get for servicers to give them options when it comes to, getting a loan mod or anything like that to, again, continue to try to avoid foreclosure the best of their abilities. Another one of the things that they're doing is HUD, USDA, and VA have kind of joined Fannie and Freddie in saying that part of some of those options for restructuring the loans, one of the options is extending the length of the loan to then reduce the monthly payments. And that could be a great way to keep people in their houses. Again, anybody who has any questions, always talk to their, recommend anybody talk to their servicer. The servicers, some of the rules have changed and how they're going to be looking at when we're talking about avoiding foreclosure, because the lenders and servicers are going to be required to reach out to those borrowers. So kind of keep in mind, but if they can't reach them, that's going to be another issue. So people need to answer the phones. I know that's a thing. So, they have to have the option at least to try to do that modification, because properties that have been abandoned, they can't reach them, they're vacant. Those are allowed to be foreclosed on immediately. So they don't have to go through offering all these different options to people if they can't find them, or if the property's just been abandoned, they're like, great, we can move forward with those foreclosures.
Right.
One of the reasons that we don't expect a flood, and we, kind of talking about this, is the median equity of a borrower in forbearance has $100,000 of equity. 100,000, that's median, that's awesome. And you kind of look at it, 96% of homeowners in forbearance have at least 10% equity. So again, we're looking at the vast majority of anybody has to sell, they're going to be normal sales. And they can even walk away with some, money in their pocket.
Absolutely.
Right. And so if we look down, based on all these different options, based on everything we're seeing, there could be, say, 200,000-300,000 foreclosures nationwide. So even if we just break it down, say, okay, let's divide it, 300,000 by 50 states, it's like 6,000 per state, where that is nothing remotely close to the 10 million foreclosures we had when that 2008 crash.
Right.
And I love, one of my favorite, housing gurus is Ivy Zellman. And she just cleared, her quote is, the likelihood of us having a foreclosure crisis again is about 0%. And she knows her stuff. So I listen to her. And Dr. Lawrence Yun also follows suit. He's kind of, these houses will be absorbed quickly, and we're not going to see any price declines because of that. So it's, yes, there is a lot of challenging times. We've had a very interesting year and a half, but it is benefiting a lot of the homeowners. So, Lydia and I have been saying this for a year. Borrowers have options.
Yes, they do.
We want to make sure that they realize that. And even though forbearance, entrances has expired, there's still options. So, kind of keeping all that in check. And I know Lydia.
It really is important that the homeowner talk to their agent and their servicer, because there are so many options available right now. I will tell you, a month ago, it looked like things were starting to slow down. I wasn't getting as many BPOs, wasn't getting as many drive-by inspections. And then in the last 2 weeks, I have been slammed. I can't even tell you how many thousands of miles I've put on my car in the last 2 weeks. But what they're really are trying to find out, I think some of them are from iBuyers, of course. Some of them are those in companies that are trying to get with homeowners that maybe don't have a mortgage, but have maybe a tax lien on them, because that too will be up as of Saturday as well. So so make sure that you are paying your taxes if you haven't been for the last year, if you don't have a loan. Now, if you have a loan, most likely your taxes are being paid within your loan. So, but what my concern is now with some of the inspections that I have been doing is they are really adamant on, is it occupied or is it not occupied? And there's 3 ways that I can answer the report when I send it in. Is I can say, yes, it's occupied. Then they want to know, are there cars in the driveway, furniture in the, are the lights on? They have like a whole list of things. Or no, there's definitely nobody at the home. Or the third one is unknown. And I will tell you, in the last 2 weeks that I have put unknown in some of them, they have emailed me back saying, are you sure you don't know if someone's in the home? Because that's like you and I talked about earlier, Sarah, before we got onto the call, was the servicing companies can foreclose if they think that the home has been abandoned. So it's really important right now for those of us that work for the servicing company and we're doing those drive-by inspections to see, can we tell if it is occupied or not? And I will tell you, it's really difficult when you're out on the street or when you're out on the sidewalk, because you can't get onto the property right now, to tell if there is someone in the home. So I would recommend for sure, if you are in a forbearance, you need to talk to your servicer about an exit strategy. And that could be a loan modification of some kind. I mean, they can only do that loan modification if you contact them. And that's going to be really, really important, because they're only going to give you so many times. They're only going to give me or someone else so many times to go to the property to look to see if it is abandoned or not. The other thing that I've been doing a lot more in the last month is trying to find out for them, are utilities on? I mean, that's, if the house looks abandoned but utilities are on, I mean, somebody's living in there, right?
Somebody's living in there. Exactly. Because and we were just talking about it, summertime, a lot of people keep their curtains closed and lights off. Yep. Because it's hot and we don't want to, have all the extra heat coming in. So if somebody's struggling, put some flowers in the pot by the front door or something.
Right.
You're there.
But definitely, I mean, for us that are agents, it's really important for us to understand first, what is a forbearance? What are the options for our clients? Because we should understand this so we can explain it to our people so that we know what the options are for them. I get that as a realtor, we only get paid when we sell or buy, but it's really, really important to educate our own database and to say, if you did a forbearance, here are some options for you. And one of the biggest ones right now is to connect with your servicing company. Call them. They will either call you, email you, or they will send you something in the mail. And if you don't respond to anything, they're going to assume that you do not live there anymore. And I mean, it's just
forward with the foreclosure process, where this is, I mean, we're talking months and months ahead of schedule based on what these CFPB rules are. So
right. And the other thing, like you said, Sarah, I mean, most people have at least 100,000 in equity. If you have a client that is truly struggling, or you are struggling yourself, maybe it is time to take the loss and sell the house, take that equity and just be done with it. I mean, look at your kitty there.
I know.
But it truly is. I mean, if you don't think you can get caught up, it really is time for you to think about what are your options with selling. Because I'll tell you, Sarah, I mean, by about the end of this year or beginning of next year, the indicators look like we're going to be in a normal market. So
yes,
not that prices are going to go down, but they're not going to go up anymore.
Correct.
So
or just go up more slowly. I mean,
or go up slowly. Yeah. So you're not going to be able to get those 20 offers. You'll be lucky if you get 1 or 2 offers at that point. So exactly. I've got a listing appointment this afternoon, and they're moving out of state in about 4 to 6 months. So I'm going to have this conversation as to, we could sell your home in 6 months, but right now we can get you this much. I can't tell you in 6 months how much we're going to get until 6 months from now, because
Right.
it will depend on how many homes are on the market. So all of this plays into decisions on the homeowner. And it's really, really important as a homeowner to discuss this with someone that understands forbearance and your servicing company. And as a realtor, it's really important for us to educate ourselves so we can educate our clients.
100%. You said it beautifully, so I like that. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Lydia, great information. I totally appreciate that. And, you know, you're totally right. It's all about just having that open communication and conversations.
Right.
So with that said, you know, if you want to subscribe to our videos or anything like that, you know, definitely we'd love to share good information. And if there's anything in particular you would like us to research and talk about, please let us know. And we look forward to seeing you again, Lydia, pretty soon, a couple weeks.
Thanks, Sarah.
Bye.